Donald Trump really has been in a very, very combative mood this week. Look, part of the reason is that the polls are going down for the president, and he's a couple of very detailed articles in the Washington Post and the New York Times a few days ago, which really showed that in late February, early March, he didn't put his foot down as far as the coronavirus measures against it went. And so he's getting quite a bit of flack for that, and he's fighting back against that. He's blaming the media and also very much China. And that's, of course, the basis of that World Health Organization decision yesterday to suspend funding to China. A lot of anger here amongst Republicans in Washington towards the WHO. They feel that it really, in cozying up to China, really misled the US and contributed to whatever mistakes the president might have made.
Well, Nancy Pelosi's now weighed in, right?
Yeah, she came out today swinging and said that look, this suspension of funding for the WHO is illegal, it's wrong, and she's implied that Donald Trump has done it to deflect attention from his own, his own failings as far as being more activist with the virus in the early stages. It's certainly an issue which has divided Washington today.
All right, and New Yorkers, this is a new suggestion by the Governor, Andrew Cuomo, that they've got to wear masks whenever they head outside. Can you elaborate on that, Cam? And is that part of a broader policy to ease restrictions and allow people outside?
No, it's not actually, Pete. It's really a case that the New York death toll has sort of stalled at a terrible level, if you like. 750 people again died yesterday. And so the governor, Andrew Cuomo, is basically saying, look, we've got to do more here. We want you to put on masks every time you go outside if you're going to come within 2 meters of another person. Of course, in New York, that's almost all the time. So people in New York are going to be wearing masks all the time, according to law. Even here in Washington, D.C., just a few hours ago, new restrictions have come on whereby you have to wear masks if you go into a store of any sort. So it's really happening in the worst hit parts of America. But this move in New York certainly reflects the fact that Cuomo is just doing everything he possibly can to try and get this death toll down and try and get things better in that poor city where it's now over 10,000 dead.
What about these protests that are taking place in Michigan at the moment, Cam?
This is really interesting, Pete. For the first time in the Michigan capital of Lansing, a fairly big protest has taken place. People protesting these stay-at-home orders, social distancing. Now, the reason why, and this just shows how America is really unevenly affected here. In rural Michigan, the infection rates for this virus are fairly low, and that's what they're protesting about. In Detroit, the biggest city, they're very, very high. What they're saying is the governor should not lock down the whole state when a lot of the state is not very badly affected. And this is the bigger picture of America, Pete. A lot of rural areas in America are not affected very badly by the virus, and they're questioning why the economy has effectively stopped. And that's the issue that Donald Trump is dealing with in the White House. How much of the country does he open? What parts of the country, and what sort of timetable are we looking at?
Well, how's he going with that stoush? It's well reported that that he's got a lot of beef with Andrew Cuomo at the moment, but there are about half a dozen governors that he's sort of lining up at the moment. What's the latest when it comes to him taking on those governors?
Donald Trump is basically saying, look, we should open the country in a phased way from May the 1st. That's just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah.
And, that's what he's very keen to push. What I think you're going to see is some sort of phased opening whereby those less affected states will start doing it. But the governors do have the final say. That's very much the case. The constitutional experts say that's the case, despite what Donald Trump is asserting as far as his power over them goes. So it really, of course, there's no way that the governors of New Jersey, Michigan, Louisiana, and New York State, the 4 hardest hit states in this country, there's no way they are going to relax social distancing laws or anything like that in the foreseeable future because the death toll is simply too high.
Now, just onto non-corona related stories at the moment. We did talk about this last week, Cam, the fact that we were wondering when Barack Obama might start getting behind Joe Biden. Well, that happened yesterday. He released a video saying Joe's the man. How much of an effect do you expect that to have now in the race for the White House?
I think it'll have a reasonable effect because Barack Obama has been the silent man all the way through this. He promised not to support anyone during the primaries. He wanted to see who won and then throw his support behind them. Then he's easily the most popular Democrat in America, even today, and so much more popular than Hillary Clinton. And so his endorsement means a lot. And they've also had Bernie Sanders come on board with Joe Biden this week. Just today, a few hours ago, Elizabeth Warren has come on board and endorsed Joe Biden. So Joe's got all of the Democrat Party behind him, a united Democrat Party. Now, that's very different from 4 years ago when Sanders was still fighting Hillary Clinton right to the end. So what you're going to see is a united convention here, and it's going to be interesting. It can't help but be an advantage for Biden.
No, and you did mention Hillary Clinton there. She has been quiet, hasn't she? Do you expect that Joe will want or seek her endorsement, or because she lost the last election, is that something that he might not want? What's your view of Hillary?
I think he'll want Hillary's endorsement. Hillary will give it to him almost certainly. I think she's just biding her time. She'll endorse him at some point in time. But, I mean, she is not a particularly popular figure amongst many Democrats, amongst many voters even. And so her endorsement, I think, will mean a lot less than Barack Obama's, even possibly Bernie Sanders as well. But, Biden, it's going to be so interesting to see Biden because this is not a normal campaign because of the coronavirus. I mean, Joe Biden is locked in his basement of his home in Wilmington, Delaware. And he's just doing videos from there. He can't leave the house. So he's cutting a fairly small figure on the political stage as a result. It's not his fault. But the bottom line is it's a very different election. So it'll be really interesting to see how it pans out in the next month or two when candidates just simply can't get out and campaign in a traditional manner.
That's a good headline there, Cam. Hillary Clinton, Biden her time. Biden her time. It's my dad joke of the day. There we go. Too early.
In isolation, any joke is good.
Yeah. Good on you, Cam. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.